Welcome to another episode of Talking with Kevin and Son and the People You Should Know. Hi, I'm Kevin McLemore. I'm your show host, four-time published author, speaker, and mindset messenger. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Through the power of our story, our mission is to uplift and give you power to your voice, inspire, share stories and experience with the perspectives using framework of teaching and learning and modeling. Our purpose is very simple. It's hope. So whatever your objective is, successful people create a framework around their day-to-day lives and sometimes enhance their lives and then they pour into others. Today's podcast will reveal the secrets of one of my good friends in a highly effective life. Today, he will share with you the art of making films and building on a dream. Our guest will also share with you some simple and doable steps of how you can turn bad habits into good, mastering small behaviors that lead to big outcomes. When it comes to lights, cameras, and action, in short, we'll be talking all about breaking some rules and building dreams. The film process, and if you stay around long enough, you may even learn how to break into the film business yourself. Let me give you a little background on my friend, but before I get started, I want to say Oprah Winfrey says you surround yourself around the people who reflect the best values of you, which challenge you that makes you grow. Today's guest is a co-founder and CEO of VFX, Powerhouse Ventures, and 3D and Storyscopic Films. He has been honored with, I hope I get this right, the Dari Award. He has worked with Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, Paramount, Lionsgate, Sony, and Nike. Our guest has also worked in film financing, foreign distribution, licensing the major Hollywood films. He has also worked for distributing films from here and in Asia. Our guest is a partner with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, like Michael Bay, producer and director of Transformer, The Rock, and Armageddon. Hopefully I get this right. His new venture is 451 Media Group. He is currently partners with Marcus Inglefield, hopefully I got that right, Kevin Lewis, and Jeremy Ross, which he has launched his own horror genre. He also has a Bachelor's of Science from the University of Southern California and is one of the people that have made at least one of my guests' dreams come true. Let me welcome respected producer, director, and champion of kindness and a good friend, Mr. George Lee. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, Kevin? Thank you so much for having me.
All right, no problem. Thanks for being on the show. You know something, I will tell you. You know, they say that you surround yourself by people that reflect the values that you have, and I'm going to tell you, you are an example of the reason why I say I only surround myself with people that have a high call to action. You're one of the kindest, most generous people, and you're one of those people that when they say producers, I say you are a guy that knows how to get shit done. And please forgive me for my language, but stuff just doesn't describe exactly what you do. Now, I'm big on the space of gratitude, and I know you have children, and I know you deal with words all day long. But if you had to sit on the beach and had to write a letter or a note to your children, because I know every one of us have been taught something, we've caught something, and as we've grown up, we have changed the whole narrative about what we've been taught in order to make our lives right or better for us. And writing a note to your kids. Okay, they're sitting on the opposite side of the world at a beach enjoying time with their family, and this bottle washes ashore, and they open it up. Could you tell me what you would put in that note, in that bottle, the note to your children? What would it say?
Wow, this is deep. I love it. You touched upon the word grateful, gratefulness. I mean, look, we all should be so grateful to be in this world, and live in the present, and I would tell them live in the present, uh, because there's so much of this world, so much gift that God has given us, and be that person who could change the world, not just live in it, but change the world, and you have the power and you have the will, and you could do it, and that's what I would say. And be kind, be loving, and all the changes in this world, accept it, but then just have, be able to change it, have courage to change it, and I just with my wisdom of living life longer than they have, that they could carry out, just what the world is offered is what God has offered to go out, and be that person, be that soul.
Yeah. You and I have we have a lot of things in common outside of just for the simple fact of what we do for work. We want to make a difference in people, but we both share an upbringing that's similar. I always tell people that because my grandparents grew up in the South, that you and I both have a Southern upbringing. And I am so glad that you share some of the same traditions and the same work ethic and family values that I share. I want to know a little bit about your life before you became the filmmaker that you are, the human being that you are today, long before you became a graduate of Southern California, and a big time superstar filmmaker. Tell me about your Southern upbringing.
No, I was born in Seoul, in Korea, South Korea, and you know, in a way, I am an immigrant. Coming from when I came when I was 4 years old.
Thank God you're
And
not coming in this country now. They wouldn't let you in. I'm
probably
sorry.
not, right? Probably not, right? And I've lived a very, very, very blessed and grateful life that my parents have given me the opportunity to live the American dream. And yeah, I think you kind of touched on it about our upbringing. We live in a different world today because of social media and the internet. But we grew up, literally writing letters to each other, putting a stamp on it, having a phone at the house, not a cell phone, And we went outside and played till, till the sun went down, playing, Nerf football on the street, playing over the line, And I grew up in that era where, I feel like morals and values, were there, and our parents and then our, instilled that on us, and that's kind of what it bleeds over to now to our children that we teach, and these are valuable lessons, I believe, as we are getting older, Kevin, but thing is, we carry that, and this is our job to send that message to the younger generation. This is why I believe, even I'm not going to touch upon politics, but this is why I believe, this year's election is absolutely huge. Forget about all the finance of the world, but just the value and the core value of this world, and it's a gift. It's a gift that we're still breathing today. I pray every morning. I thank God, say, hey, thank you for letting me breathe again today so I can make a difference, right? So I was brought up with those kind of values and, from my parents and with family values, so, and I am just blessed and grateful that I'm able to be healthy, and go out there and do the things I do. And I love what I do, but the thing is, it's more than life and just being able to, put an extra dollar or a zero in my account. That's not it. To me, it's paying it forward now for me to send a message to the people who might want to hear a message to help others, Um, the word I like to use a lot, Kevin, is I like to be useful. I want to be useful in this world. I just don't want to be. I want to be useful and be of service to people. And that's kind of like if my life was a because you're an athlete, we love sports. My life in basketball, there's 4 quarters. Football, there's 4 quarters. I feel like now because my kids are growing up, they're getting married, they're having kids, and I feel like I'm at the 4th quarter of my life. And wow, I worked first, second, 3rd quarter. I've collected so much of the 3rd quarter, and this is my 4th quarter, man. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go there for the end zone. I'm gonna, put the last shot in, and that's kind of the mentality level I have, to keep driving and keep striving for what I feel like, it's I need also as well, to for my self gratification, and I do believe in the higher power and the great Lord up there. So, I don't want to get into politics and religion because I like to separate the church and the state. But thing is,
Right.
those are the messages I would really love to kind of transcend to, in this podcast. Yeah.
Well, I say all the time, be the example to this world that you want your children to see. And you
That's
are
right.
that example. At the end of about 100, almost 200 episodes of shows I've done between this show and my other podcast, Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friend, I mentioned at the end of the show is that I probably have the only podcast out there that I've had people come on my show and basically say what their one ask will be, ASK, or what they had one dream, if it could come true, what would it be? And I've only been able to show the face of one person that has actually stepped up to the plate without asking and helped someone to make their dream come true. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a face of another person. I had a young man that was aspiring to get into the film industry. He had just became the youngest person that has ever made it to the finals of American Ninja Warrior. And without even saying anything, when this young man hit California, George Lee took him under his wings and helped him get a start. I mean, you think about it. Some of us live our whole lives without having a one dream come true, and you gave him a stepping stone, a head start on his dream, just because without being asked.
Yeah.
You
By
know,
the way, he's on stage now. He's performing on a play. It looks like, and still keep in touch with. We're talking about Cal. Still keep
yeah,
in touch with Cal, and he has a wonderful family. The mother, sister. I got to know his family too, so which is great. Outside of the work, and that young man is going to go places. He just has it in him. He has that it. I love it. And I had lunch with him a couple months ago, and he just has that. He's inspired. He has that drive, and that's what I love to see a young generation. Instead of going out, and worrying about your social media, how many people like you, or or going out there, doing the wrong things that drives you down. But he's going outwards. I love it. I love Cap.
yeah. I just wanted to say publicly, um, and this will go down into being on the internet for the rest of your life. I want to say thank you for just being you. You are one of the people that
But
is on this
also,
planet.
Kevin, thank you for giving that the opportunity for us to meet. And you play such a huge role. And let's don't discount you, okay? Come on. I mean, you play a huge role. And you're the gateway to these things that these magics happen. So if there's not a platform to do this, that wouldn't happen. You see what I'm saying? So I thank you and I appreciate you and I'm grateful for you for doing this.
All right. So,
Should I interview you now?
something, go ahead. Cause I'm off my notes and I'm trying to figure out a segue in order to get back on track. All I can do is say thank you.
That's
I
all right.
still to this day, out of all the things that I've accomplished in my life, and last time we were with my son, I still struggle with, receiving the accolades of the things that I've done because I don't do things in order for it to come back to Kevin. I do
Of
because
course.
this is God's will gave me the platform in order to make a difference. So I wanted to talk about, I always say that procrastination is the first door to mediocrity. What is the most challenging thing about a film project you've had to date? And how did you have to overcome those obstacles in making a film?
Wow. Making a film is challenging, period. Especially making indie films because I'm not part of a studio system, right? In studios, they'll give you an ample budget. You just go make it, like on Netflix, say, here's $30 million. Go make this movie and make it happen. Where we start from the beginning. We start with a script, we start with a story, and then, we go and get all the financing and then, we put the whole crew together, the cast and all that. But I think the most challenging one was my last movie, Kevin. I
So,
shot a movie during as we all know, there was a strike, the SAG strike last year, and we're on a timeline to get this thing made, and the strike just put a big, uh challenge for us. But then we were able to get the waiver. We got two waivers in the strike. I shot two movies during the strike, where and how I view that was it was a blessing because I was able to put a couple movies together and put people to work. It's not their fault. It's not the crew's fault. I mean, sure, the union's going to always have strikes, whether it's directors or actors or writers or even IATSE, which is which is the crew union. But last movie we shot out in Savannah, and I shot a vampire movie. And it was crazy, crazy. And it was a 37-day shoot. It was a big movie. It was about the budget was like $26 million, and I had this ensemble of cast. A lot of people you probably would know. And the challenge was it was a vampire movie, meaning that I had to shoot nights for day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I had to switch it around because vampires don't come out in days. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So 34 out of 37 days were night shoots, meaning that my schedule is flip-flop, meaning that I would start at 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon and end at 5, 6 in the morning. So I was sleeping 3, 4 hours a day for 34 out of 37 days. And I don't know how I went through it. I think the good Lord up there said, it gave me more power and more strength, but I had to go out to the office in the afternoons to sign checks, to make sure that, my production team's okay. It was really challenging because I still remember probably on the 25th or the 30th day, it was like 3 in the morning and I was walking. I'm like, literally, I was like, I felt like a vampire. I felt dazed, and during that time, my daughter got married during the shoot in November. And I'm shooting out in Georgia, and I had to fly back. I think for like Thursday or the Friday morning at 5 in the morning, do the rehearsal, dinner, the wedding, and I flew back Sunday and started Monday again. And I honestly, as I sit here and talk to you right now, I don't even know how I did it. I just don't. But the thing is, I think it's just pure like procrastination is not the word there. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just showing up. And I'm a big fan of people. You have to show up. If you're committed, you have to show up. Because if you don't show up, things don't happen.
Well, I'm glad you said that because one of the things is um, I know what it's like to be present, and my grandfather always taught me. He said you have to be present, and in this industry, everything starts with a good story. So let's go back to this movie. How did you get this story? How did the screenplay come into your presence? And how do you know when you have that screenplay, that script, or that book that says, I want to make this a movie? How did that transpire?
It was a great idea, and a good friend of mine is a writer and he's also a director, but he's also, he's also a very, very, very wealthy gentleman whose hobby is to make movies, and he had a really bad experience with a couple producers in his last movie. So he contacted me and my partner Marcus, and we sat down and the movie and the script we read it just seemed really it was very real, but it also had a lot of cool flair to it, and it was very artistic. And he really did some research on the vampires, and the history of the vampires, and it was the right timing for us because all the vampires were female, and it was very female driven, and I feel like this could be our generation's great cult movie, like a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right.
And we have this plan right now to because we finished the movie, we're cutting it right now. It's in the hands of a great score musician. His name is Bear McCurry. He did all the Walking Dead. He did a movie for me for my movie Animal Crackers, several years back. Very talented. He's doing all the music and score. But we have this great idea for a release. We're thinking of a midnight release, just like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm trying to establish this thing to be, like I said, this generation's Rocky Horror Picture Show. That it'll just go on. It's like a cult movie, and It was good. We had a lot of talents you might recognize. And Tyrese Gibson from Fast and Furious, he was in it.
Mhm.
As Stephen Dorff, he's in it. Mina Samari's in it. I had Rosa Salazar, who I don't know if everyone watched Alita, the
Mhm.
battle angel. Yeah, she's Alita. There's a lot of good talent. We had a good ensemble of cast. And I had a good time. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it was a tough one. But yeah, it was
All right.
fun. It was really fun.
I have a wish because one of the things I've told this to several friends is that, you know, a lot of times people in Hollywood, every time you get a handshake, you get a script. Every time that you get a handshake or introduction to someone, they find out what you're doing. Everyone wants to be part of your next movie and whatever. It's kind of almost like a baseball player. He never gets a day off like a football player, never gets a day off like an NBA player or any Olympic athlete. Once you receive that type of notoriety, you never get a day off. How do you find amongst all the things out there, how do you find the right person for each part? How do you know when that's the one
You're talking about from casting standpoint?
on casting?
I read the stories, the script, and I think Hollywood had a lot of some mistakes, where you're casting the wrong person. Today's world, we live in a diversified world. We live in a world where the characters could be any race or whatever. So when I read, I read it for that character, and then I have my pool of my data in my head. Oh, that person could be great for this. Or that person could be. It could be a male role. Oh, let's switch to a female role because I think it'd be much cooler. Or vice versa. You know, um, a writer wrote it for certain ethnicity. I said, nah, I think it'd be kind of cool to put a non Caucasian non-white person in there because I think it could be more flavor. I think there's so many different ways to make these movies, Kevin. And it boils down to that story and how you view that character. And then I have an intense conversation with my partner as well as my director, how my director visions it, and then we collaborate and making sure that that is the right character for that role.
I'm glad you said that because even as one back in my day when I was an actor, it used to be that, you had a white role, you cast a white character. You had, a black role most of the time, you could cast a black role. And my friends that are Hispanic said you write a Hispanic role, you hire anyone that can do the role except for a Hispanic. But I'm glad because I think filmmaking going forward and anything in the creative process is that storytelling has to connect with the community. My personal feeling, I think storytelling, not outside of entertainment itself, has a social responsibility to be true to the story. And I also think that the filmmaking process has to be true to the creativity of the filmmaker and not have to fit into a certain mold. So I'm glad that when you read a script, if you see that it could be played by a female actress or vice versa, is that DEI is part of the collective thought. Matter of fact, I'm going to scratch that from what I just said because I know you and we don't look at the world as having to be responsible for DEI. We include everyone in our conversation and in our social circles. So
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to that. Now, I have a lot of friends that when they see this, they're going to say, "How do you hook me up with um, David?" And I'm going to apologize, but I'm going to tell you this one thing. I've said this over and over again all this week because I've never asked you to come on here because I know the way that people come at you. I am so honored that you granted me the privilege and asked I should be on your podcast. So I will ask you that your next film, I would love to have your next cast and crew once they find out that they've been cast on here in order to help promote your next project is to come on and make those announcements here. Get about 100 people in there and say, you are now going to be a part of this movie and go from there. I would love to see the reaction because I know what it's like when I used to get parts that I get a phone call and said I've been cast. And I share that excitement and no one sees it. It's like that tree, they say if it falls in the woods, does anyone hear it? Well, when you get your part or get your big break, no one's there to share it. You have to make some phone calls. So when I say you're the gift, you are the gift. So I want to talk about your next project and what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I just got back from a trip from Dominican Republic. Um, and then I just got back last Sunday, and I'm setting up my next movie. The movie's called Rough Draft, and it'll be starring a good friend of, they're both good friends, but a friend of mine who's done 3 movies with me. Her name is Mina Savari. Mina was in American Beauty, American Pie. She was in, like I said, a couple of my movies. And then should be opposite of Jeff Fahey right now. Jeff is he was the Lawnmower Man. Remember the movie Lawnmower
Yeah.
Man? Yeah, he played Lawnmower Man. He was also, you'll see Jeff in a lot of the Rodriguez's movies. He was in Alita also. No, he was it Ready Player One? I think he was in. He was the helicopter pilot for Lost. Remember
I
the
remember that.
TV show? Yeah. So Jeff is a dear friend of mine. Great actors, both of them are great actors, and it's in the realm of the movie American Fiction, and it's a horror movie. And it's about this novel writer, who goes into his cabin in the woods with his wife to finish a deadline for his novel. It's a horror novel, and he's writing, but he's so obsessed to get this thing finished, and he won't sleep. He's having drinks. There's endless butts of cigarettes. He's in that writing mode. But the thing is, he's so obsessed that his characters in his book, which is the stories about young kids going camping, as almost like a Friday the 13th Jason, that type of
Hmm.
book that he's writing. But these characters come alive. They come alive, and things you don't know which dimension is real or
Hmm.
not real. And so all these things happening outside the cabin, but is it really happening? Meanwhile, he's writing this, and it's a really, really cool story. I haven't, in a horror, I guess, area hasn't been done. So I like to do things that hasn't been done also. So it's going to be directed by a good friend of mine named Michael Casey, very talented. He actually wrote it as well. He's done several movies for Lionsgate, and I'm excited to go out. Who could complain? I'm going to be on
I
an
know.
island shooting this movie. For a few weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my next project. It's called Rough Draft. Yeah,
All right. Dominican is a beautiful place. If for
I
any of you
love
that
it. Yeah.
have been there, it is beautiful. The people are beautiful. The food, the culture, the music, it's all beautiful out there. I'm going to ask this. We're going to segue to the second half of the show. How do people get in touch with you, just in case someone is interested in learning more about the steps of going into the film company, the film business in general, either as an actor, producer? Um,
I do a lot of panels, and I do a lot of expos and stuff like that. And I used to give out my email and phone number, but the thing is, it it got a little bit too overwhelming and because you know me, Kevin, I like to answer everybody, because
right.
there's a very personable relationship when somebody reaches out to me, meaning that of course they have their motives, but also it's an honor for them to to get in touch with me. So I love that, but I think the best way now is kind of working out, and then and it's not because of a social media thing, but I think the best way is for me to reach out to me on Instagram. That way, that I know they can message me, and what have you. I did a lot of LinkedIn, but thing is, I just don't check LinkedIn that much anymore. There's so many platforms that
Right. I
now.
know.
So yeah. So, but I think the best way and how it worked out. It worked out. It's working out well is through Instagram. So it is better that way for me. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
If
And
it's good,
and to my listeners, if you really want to be a fan and you really want to be supportive, he is also Mulan is one of your movies that you put out. Support him in his movies.
and the Mulan is not the movie I put out. The Mulan director
Okay, I got it wrong.
Tony Bancroft directed, my movie Animal Crackers. I just want to kind of
Okay.
keep that record straight. Yeah.
All right, thank you for correcting me. So since you brought that up, even though you didn't bring it up, is there an actor or director that you would like to work with that you haven't worked with?
Oh my gosh, this is such a. There's two actors I would love to work with on the male side, which is my dream. I would love to work with Tom Cruise. You know,
Mhm.
boy, would that be great. But that's a very far reach. I think he's amazing. He's just really an action star. He is he's a great actor, but he's brought so much to the industry. When COVID and all that, he brought Top Gun second and
Mhm.
start putting people in the theaters again.
Right.
That's a leader. That's someone who's makes an impact.
Mhm.
Another gentleman I would love to work with is Kevin Costner. Yeah, I would love to do a movie with Kevin. I've gotten close, but as these actors get older, and they're very more selective and picky, and they deserve to be, because they made some masterpieces during their career. Female actors I would love to work with. And I'm doing a lot of old school here, by the way.
That's okay.
I would love to work with Meryl Streep. I think she'd be amazing to work with. I mean, her accolades, she gets nominated for Academy Award every year. And I think it's crazy how great she is. Yeah, and then director wise, and I mean, there's so many great talented directors. You know, I, and look, I know Michael Bay. So as you said, would I want to work with him? I know how he is. Uh, maybe not, but I like to work with. Honestly, I like to work with my daughter.
All
That's one
right.
thing. She's a director, and she just graduated USC Film School a couple of years ago, and she's doing some wonderful things out there. She doesn't, she doesn't ask me for help, which is great, because she wants to make it on her own. But you know, I'd like to do a movie with her. Before I hang my gloves up, whatever you want to call it, put my cleats up. It'd be a fun thing to do together.
All right. Well, you made one of my dreams come true. To have you on here. Um, in the fall of this year, 2024, there are a group of Penn students at Cheney University that I will be teaching the art of podcasting and will help launch their podcast. I'm going to ask you a small personal favor, because you'll probably be the biggest thing that any of them has ever done. I would love for you to be interviewed by someone that's just getting their chops, breaking into the business. Would you honor us to be a guest on their podcast?
I'd be more than honored. Kevin, I believe in the younger generation. I also teach a group of high school kids in a place called Fireball High School down over in towards Inglewood area. And it's a film class, high school film class, and a lot of these kids, don't have the opportunity, and many of them come from broken homes. So I go there and we do a Zoom. I went there in class and spoke. So I believe in the future generation, and there are so many talented people out there who just needs that one opportunity, that one window that's cracked open to let them explore their creativity. I'll be more than honored, and thank you so much for even asking me. I'll show up once again. I will. Yeah. Thank you for asking me.
No, thank you, because I have 10 exceptional, gifted students that will be telling their whole collegiate experience from freshman
Amazing.
year through their podcast. So every event, ups and downs of what they have to go through, the experience of life on campus, the stress and the struggles. They will be telling that for the next 4 years. So I appreciate you being a good friend and being a resource to these young people. I think your words of wisdom would mean a lot and carry them through. Because sometimes, like anything else, you get to the point that seasons change and things get heavy. Sometimes we don't see the light at the end of the road, but we also know that every storm has its day, and then there's better days to come. So when I ask you about things that are better to come, I also want to honor you. I have a list of 100 people that I've shared the secrets to a successful life, not to their bank account, to a successful life. You are one of the people that I like to honor and add you to that list because you have been over the years committed friend, both through good times and bad times. You have been a loyal friend, no matter what the ask may be, and you've been a sounding board as a friend to sometimes carry the load when other people couldn't carry it themselves. You have propped people up, including myself, and I wanted to thank you. So if you were to give the secrets to your success or your secrets to life, what would those secrets be?
I call it the three P's, patience, persistence, and perseverance, and I teach those three P's to my kids also, you gotta love yourself. You gotta believe in yourself. I love that. One of my favorite songs, Kevin, is a Michael Jackson song. It's this man in the mirror, to make the change, and you really break down those lyrics is how powerful those lyrics are, and showing up, like I said, keep showing up because if you don't show up, you're gonna miss out on this world. It doesn't matter if it's a birthday party. It doesn't matter if it's going and you committed, to do something for a friend or a family member or even business side. Just show up because you the amount of opportunities and people you meet and life-changing things that happens when you show up because if you don't, you're going to miss it out, and it's continuing to be good and have a goal or have things that you want to achieve in life, and organizing those things, and checking things off, every day. I wake up every morning and I put a gratitude list. I also put the to do and the want list, and check it off every single day. Then you start accomplishing magic happens. It's weird, Kevin, And I know we're very similar. And I know you do some, the message that you send me every day, and things like that, it's hard to explain, but there's this kismet, there's this thing in this universe, and with this positive energy, and then it just carries on, and I think, it also starts with you, what you want, in life, and what you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve it, and strive towards it, and giving back, help others, and clean yourself out. I mean, look, we're all human beings. We're not perfect, man. We're not. The thing is, we strive. Only the higher power is perfect. We're not, but we try to get as close as possible to be there. But the thing is, there's a lot of obstacles and challenges we need to overcome. But you're never gonna know, the things that throw at you if if you're not there. You know what I'm saying? And I would say this, and I always like to, because you're an athlete, and I love you, Kevin, because you understand what I say, because you're an athlete. And people always say, I do this, I do that, and especially when it comes to, in the film side, play the game. Don't be on the sideline. In baseball, right? There's 9 players, right? And the manager can always substitute, pinch hitter, you're not going to play the game if you don't pick up the bat. It doesn't matter if you get hit by the pitch or you get strike out or you get walked or hit a home run. But the thing is, at least you're in the game. All the people who's not in the game, who are substitutes, will never experience playing that game. So pick up a bat and go up to the plate. It's okay to strike out. The coach might say, you know what? And I love baseball because I used to play baseball, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only game that has a terminology called sacrifice bunt. No other game has sacrifice. There's
Right.
assist, from basketball, right? There's blocking.
Right.
I get, but baseball is the only sport that has that term. And I kind of break this down: sacrifice to let somebody else advance. Sometimes you got to do that in life. I use that, but you got to still pick up the bat to sacrifice.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
actually what I call when you put that analogy out there like that, that's called delayed gratification in my book.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, delayed gratification. And it's amazing that you say that because I was going to bring up the fact that I'm going to be a house guest in 2028 because the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles.
Yeah,
I'm just putting that out there because I know that family and friends are going to be you're going to be inundated with that request. So I'm at the top of the list right now.
you're on the top
But
of the list, my friend.
I had a conversation with a young lady we met that had tried 3 times to make the Austrian Olympic team, and she finally made it as a triathlete.
Oh
And
wow.
she finished dead last. And the conversation that I had, I said, "You didn't finish dead last. You did not. There were 8 other athletes that did not finish that race." I said, "When you look at now, there's 12 billion people on the planet." I said, "You finished ahead of 1% of that 12 billion people. You did not finish your Olympic dream. You are ahead of the curve." And when I look at the fact that when we look at, and you said it earlier, not to bring in politics or religion into that, is that my faith believes that the simple fact that when we look at humanity and look at where we should place our value, is that all these countries have sent their children in order to represent each one of these countries. And no matter in victory or defeat, they have all embraced their competitors. And there's no loss of life, there's no loss of dignity, but it's a celebration of mankind. So with that,
And
I'm
they
going to,
showed up. They showed
and
up.
they showed up. They
Yeah.
showed up. And that's the biggest thing in establishing anything in life is showing up. And I've said this as an actor. The hard part about being in your business is not getting the job, it's keeping the job once you got it.
100%. And
Yeah.
and I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed. I continuously do this on a daily basis. And there's a lot of people I know who did not do an honest job, or or try to take a shortcut, and then they're no longer in the business, because we know we're not we weren't born yesterday.
Yeah.
We know, and that's where the chips fall, so I continuously build, let's use the word build, our the film industry and the film community, in a proper way, and try to get things done the right way, you know.
Well, I'm going to tell you, as a friend, as a professional, there's always a seat for you on this show. No matter what you're doing, there's always a seat. If you've got a story to tell, something you want to share, this platform is always open to you 24/7. I
And
appreciate you being here.
I love you, Kevin. It's such an honor, and I just love seeing you. This is the fun part, man. And just love that great smile of yours. And you're doing a great thing for this podcast. And I told my partner Marcus to get on it as well. But Marcus is a little camera shy. But
Oh,
yeah. But the thing is, anything that you possibly could ask me to help you out, or be part of. I say even help out, be part of. To bring out a great message to this world. I'm in, brother. I am. And I'm there. I am. Because I
oh.
think you and I think very similar.
Well, I've already asked you to write the forward to my next book. So I'm talking about the power of words, and I said there's no other person that knows better of the power of what human words and what words means than a man that brings words to life, that puts a picture to a story. So there's no one better than that than you. So I ask one more question. If you had one ask, and I know I've asked you this before, ASK, you have one dream that could come true, or one thing that can change the life of millions, what would that be?
I think I mean, look, that's such a endless amount of things I can answer. But the thing is, I, I would probably say, be the kindness of this world. I think that the world is mean today, and the social media drives that, and just be kind to your family, be your friends, to the world, to your coworkers, to your neighbors, because kindness and love, it comes back. It's magic. It really is. There's nothing goes wrong for being kind.
Right.
Nothing goes wrong for being kind. No one's gonna get mad at you for being kind. And and in this world today, all the mental illness that goes on, and overthinking. I would say overthinking, but like I said, it just starts with you. Just be kind to this world that you're brought in. You should be grateful that you're in this world, and I think that would relate over to a lot of great things that could happen in your life. So I ask people to be kind, be kind to the world and to the people around you. Be kind to your pets, be kind to, the plants, be kind, there's nothing wrong with being kind, like I said, Kevin.
Right. All right. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Lee, George Lee, my good friend. I hope my fans and people that follow love this podcast. And I will say to each and every last one of you, if you like what you've heard and you want to share it, go to RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page and do just that. If you're a person that has a high call to action, I've always said, I appreciate you liking the show. I appreciate you viewing the show, but I only want people to follow the show. They have a high call to action. My friends, just like George Lee, they're not the type of people that drive by an accident. They stop to help. And if you're one of those people, I would love to have you part of this story. So with that said, the last thing, I want to make sure that I did not miss anything, or you have anything to say before we
Yeah, Kevin, so if anybody just, in a little bit more detail wants, to reach out because they have a dream to extend or, excel in the filmmaking industry, you have my Instagram. So, please
yes, yeah.
share it. Yeah, yeah. So let's share it. And then, I will respond. I will
All right.
respond.
And you're one of few people, because I know you're always looking for stories. You're always looking for screenplays. I know at one time you were looking for horror movies. If someone has a screenplay or a script, is there a submission process of getting that to you? I forgot to ask you that.
Well, it starts with because I don't have, I read all my scripts. I used to have a script, coverage, but the thing is, I, I got to believe in the story, so I'm not going to go off of somebody who read it and, then one pile goes over here, one pile goes over there.
Okay.
It didn't work out for me because I feel like I'm missing out on something, and that's not fair to the writers either. So, you know, um, it takes time. It's a time process, because scripts not, you don't read. It's not a 4 page,
Yeah.
read. But yeah, it's just there's no submission process. They reach out to me. I personally respond. I personally respond. So I have no problems doing that. And but then just give me a little time. I might be on set. You know, um, like I've optioned over 15 scripts in the last couple of years. And these are some of our first time writers, and because I love their concept, and I started working with them with my other polished writers. So look, we all have a dream. It starts somewhere. It starts somewhere. Somebody gave me a break. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, it wasn't all on my own. Somebody believed in me. So I'm just paying it forward. I got to believe in somebody else as well, especially the younger generation. They're smart, they're creative, and I have all the passion in the world to help them out.
All right. So I'm going to end the show with that, putting the love out into the world, giving it back. And in the event that you do have something you would like to share, you can go to info@rmkproductions.org. You contact me, and I will see to it that you have a direct contact with George. Again, George, thank you. 1,000 times, and I'm going to give you my hashtag. Find 1,000 reasons to be kind to someone. The number two is instead of TWO is part of that. So find 1,000 reasons to be kind. If I told you that I had 1,000 positive interactions in a 12-hour day with people, and that's how I came to the concept, is that it doesn't take a lot of time and energy to be kind to someone. Sometimes just saying hello is enough. So with that said, my grandfather always said, when you get to a point that you can help someone, he said it's your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one,